Hello, hello. Y'all see the moniker. You see what the program is about. And we're talking about the price of loyalty and why Trump picked Paxton, Ken Paxton, scandal ridden Paxton. Okay? Donald Trump did not endorse Ken Paxton because Ken Paxton represented stability or ethics, restraint, or institutional trust. That's not what this is. Donald Trump picked Ken Paxton because Paxton represented the modern version of what Donald Trump values most in politics: absolute and utter loyalty, willingness to beat up on the Democrats, and a willingness to operate in a permanent political warfare. And honestly, y'all think people are missing a deeper story here. No, they're not. This endorsement is not just about Texas. It's not just about MAGA. It's not even just about ideology. It's about the type of person this political era now rewards for their behavior. Because there was a time, and this really wasn't even that long ago, where repeated scandals, impeachment by your own party, donor allegations, whistleblower accusations, ethics, investigations, and very public personal controversy would make a political party nervous as hell. Back in the day, party leaders would quietly sit somebody down and say, hey, listen, bro, for the good of the party, maybe it's time that you step back or step down. Now some of these same scandals almost feel like qualifications. Seriously. Like the worse the controversy, the more some people think, yeah, that's our guy. That's our guy right there. That's who we want. And let me say this before folks immediately start screaming partisan politics. This is bigger than Ken Paxton. Both parties have had corruption. Both parties have had ethical, questionable people. Both parties have had scandals and hypocrisies and power-hungry politicians. Every last one of these parties have. But something feels very different right now. What feels really different is that scandal itself has become normalized. We've crossed an area, we done crossed the line somewhere where people almost don't even expect people to have moral leadership anymore. And y'all, that should bother a lot of people, seriously. Because if your only requirement is power, or will this person hurt my enemies, or will this person hurt the Democrat, or will this person hurt the Republican, especially, then eventually you stop caring what kind of person you handed enormous authority to in the first place. Look at what happened when Donald Trump gave Pam Bondi authority. Kristi Noem. Look what happened when he handed Kristi Noem authority. She spent $200 million of taxpayer money. Look at Kash Patel. Drunk every chance he can get. Look. This is dangerous. And that really is dangerous. So let's talk honestly about why Trump picked Paxton. Not the polished television version, not the rehearsed talking lines, not the sanitized political consultant version. The real reason why Donald Trump picked Paxton. Reason number one, absolute loyalty to Trump. This is the biggest reason right there. This is one of the biggest reasons. Trump values loyalty above almost everything else. Not competence, not ethics, not restraint, loyalty. And Ken Paxton has repeatedly shown he's willing to defend Donald Trump publicly, aggressively, and consistently, no matter how controversial the situation becomes. After the 2020 election, while a whole lot of Republicans were trying to run away from Donald Trump, this Ken Paxton dude filed those lawsuits. I think he filed about 6-7 different lawsuits. He jumped right in the middle of it and filed that Supreme Court lawsuit challenging the election results and procedures in battleground states. That instantly elevated him in Trump's world. That's one of the reasons why he's loyal to Trump, and that's why Trump is going to be loyal to him. Because Trump rewards fighters, especially fighters willing to take the heat for him. That's why people around Trump can survive scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal, as long as they stay loyal to him. And let's be honest about this. The modern day MAGA movement is heavily built around loyalty culture. It has nothing to do with competency. The loyalty they have for Donald Trump has nothing to do with his morals. They don't care about his morals. They don't care about his competency. They don't care about anything other than the loyalty. People don't like saying that shit out loud, but it's true. That movement rewards people who stand with Trump no matter what. Even when it gets uncomfortable, when it gets politically dangerous, and when the facts get messy or convoluted. MAGA is going to stand with whatever person Donald Trump says is the person that he wants. And Paxton understands that perfectly. And here's the dangerous part nobody wants to talk about. When loyalty becomes the highest value in politics, independent judgment starts to die. That's when administrations become echo chambers for the bad behavior. That's when people stop saying, Mr. President, you're going too far. And they start asking, how far do you want me to go? That's when governments get dangerous. Not when leaders surround themselves with strong, independent people. When they surround themselves with dependent people, loyal people, sycophantic people. And this is where the Paxton relationship becomes even more important to the president, because this relationship is not just ideological. This is survival based. Think about this. When somebody already carries heavy political baggage, controversy, legal issues, ethical challenges, public scandal, they often need Trump's protection and political machine almost as much as Trump needs their loyalty. That creates a strong bond that policy never could, because now survival becomes connected, and that makes people far more reliable politically. Reason number two why Donald Trump picked Paxton. Paxton is a political weapon. Trump does not just want allies in his camp. He wants weapons. People willing to create pressure, create conflict, fear, and emotional intensity. And Paxton has built his whole political identity around doing exactly that. Lawsuits, culture, war battles, aggressive partisan confrontation. He's not viewed as some real calm, patient, institutional guy. Nobody looks at Ken Paxton and thinks, wow, there's the adult in the room. That's the grown person in the room. No, they don't. He's viewed as a political attack dog. And in today's political environment, especially online politics, aggression increasingly gets interpreted as strength. Even when institutions are getting damaged in the process, they don't care. Because let's be real here, Trump does not reward restraint. He rewards people willing to fight without embarrassment, regardless of their past. People willing to escalate, attack, dominate headlines, keep the base emotionally activated, throw red meat to the base. And Paxton fits that mold perfectly. Whether people love him or hate him, he generates conflict, and modern politics run on conflict now. That's the business model for at least the Republican Party. That's their business model. Outrage, conflict, attention, tribal warfare. That's what drives those clicks, views, donations, engagements. But here's the deeper thing. Trump doesn't just appear to want fighters. He appears to want fighters willing to operate with few restraints, with less moral ambiguity. People who won't stop and ask, hold on, should we really be saying that? Should we really be doing that? He don't want people to say that. And that's the part that's bothering me. Because morality is inconvenient in this political environment. A conscience slows people down. Seriously, a strong conscience creates hesitation, reflection, limits. It makes somebody stop and think, nah, this might be wrong. This might be going too far. It rewards soldiers, people willing to go all the way for the team no matter what. That's the loyalty that Donald Trump wants. And somebody already surrounded by ethical, not restrained by ethical stuff, let me put it that way, often becomes more willing to cross lines, like Ken Paxton, and more traditionally cautious politicians might avoid these blurred lines. That's part of what makes Paxton useful politically in this environment for the president. The public also got exhausted. They got tired of people lying, corrupt politicians, war, exhausted with rich people falling upward, regular people getting hurt. People got tired. Here's the thing. No scandal, according to this president, no scandal disqualifies people. This is number 3. The third reason why Ken Paxton is number 3. Scandal no longer disqualifies you. This is the cultural shift a lot of people still don't fully understand. Years ago, the level of controversy surrounding Paxton would have politically buried most people. Impeachment, felony securities fraud charges, whistleblower retaliation accusation, donor influence allegations, personal scandal. All of those things this man has. This man is completely and utterly challenged morally. Years ago, that would have been radioactive to even talk about. Now, folks barely even react anymore. Seriously, Donald Trump picked this person who was impeached, felonious security fraud charges, whistleblower retaliation. He fired the people that told on him in his office. Donor influence allegations, took bribes, personal scandals, cheating on his wife, all out in the public. This man has done all of that. And yet he had MAGA the base all behind him. Donald Trump all in for this flawed candidate over Cornyn. I ain't no fan of this Cornyn dude. Ain't a fan of him at all because he's a retard and he's a loyalist too. But there's a difference between a loyalist who keeps a moral compass and one who doesn't have a moral compass. Ken Paxton don't have a moral compass. And the whole Republican Party is right behind this dude. Right behind him. Scandal after scandal after scandal. And he's going to go up against Tallarico. Go up against Tallarico. And then we will definitely see Texas is going to be the choice between where we want our country to go and where this country is heading if we continue on the same path. Texas is going to show us the difference between where we want to go and the path that we're on. Because Tallarico has all the qualities of what we want in a congressperson, in a decent human being, period, full stop. And Ken Paxton is everything we don't want our politicians to be. Everything we don't. And we'll see how much of a patriot our people and the people of Texas are going to be. We're going to see how much of a patriot, how much loyalty to the country these people in Texas have when it comes to election day, when they have a choice between Tallarico and Ken Paxton. We're going to see what patriots we have in that Texas. Are you going to be loyal to the country, or are you going to be loyal to a party? A party that would place this person in one of the highest seats in the land, with the possibility of being, at any particular point, House Speaker, second, third person from the presidency. You're willing to put this human being in a position to be that close to the presidency. But then again, you guys put Donald Trump right into that position too. So somebody gets indicted, investigated, impeached, accused of all kinds of stuff. And people just shrug now. People just say, oh, well, Donald Trump is all these things. We don't care. This seems to be normal to some of y'all. We've gotten numb to that chaos, numb to that dynamic, numb to that degeneracy, I should say. And Trump understands this better than almost anybody alive politically. He understands that many supporters, most of you MAGA people, now interpret investigations and scandals as establishing warfare, media targeting, or proof that the politician is over the target. So instead of scandal weakening his support, sometimes scandal hardens that support. How the hell did Ken Paxton beat Cornyn by 25 points in the Texas runoff? How in the hell, if we had true patriots in Texas, in this country, he never would have beat Paxton. He never would have beat Cornyn at 25 points. Never. Look at the margin, 25 points. That's the crazy part. And Trump knows Paxton survived scandal that makes him useful, because in this political environment, scandal resistance itself becomes a political asset. And maybe the most disturbing part about all of this is that the public, and specifically the MAGA people, are adapting to it. They're adapting to ethical chaos, adapting to nonstop controversy, adapting to behavior that once would have politically buried people. This is dangerous, because democracies usually don't collapse overnight. Not overnight. Sometimes they become slower, lower standards year after year after year, until nobody even remembers what healthy relationships look like anymore. Okay. This is wild. This is crazy. The cold truth nobody wants to admit. To really understand why this works, you have to understand the people that support this shit. A lot of these voters are not blind to the chaos. They just don't care about the old rules anymore. To them, traditional decorum and institutional ethics feel fake. Like polite performances from an establishment they believe failed them for decades. So when they look at somebody like Paxton, they don't necessarily see ethical collapse. They see somebody willing to fight without apology. They're not looking for a statesman anymore, because you damn sure don't got it from this president. They're looking for a shield. And once politics becomes viewed as total war, ethical concerns start looking like luxuries people think they can't afford anymore. I think personally that Donald Trump just ensured that the Senate goes to the Democrats when he picked this ethically challenged human being for Senate in Texas. See, scandals like this no longer automatically destroy careers, because for some voters, the willingness to fight matters more than the quality of the fighter. And that's a sad thing. Okay? That's a sad thing. We have an ethically challenged president who doesn't mind ethically challenged people. Now, here is the most important reason that I'm finna give you right now. The most important reason why Donald Trump picked Ken Paxton. Trump doesn't see a broken moral compass as a deal breaker. This is the issue right here. Not whether Ken Paxton is conservative, not whether he fights Democrats, not whether he wins elections. My issue is this: Ken Paxton repeatedly appears comfortable operating near ethically dangerous territory. That's the problem. Not perfection, not political disagreement, the apparent ease with which he lends himself to the criminally interesting things, just like this president. This is the most important reason why Donald Trump endorsed Ken Paxton. He doesn't mind doing criminally challenged things. He doesn't mind people around him doing criminally minded, challenging things. Because the president is criminally minded and does criminally minded, challenging things. That matters to me. It doesn't seem to matter to MAGA. They don't mind whether their president is morally and ethically challenged. They don't mind voting for Ken Paxton, who's morally challenged or ethically challenged. Because public office is supposed to require strong internal guardrails. A senator should instinctively avoid ethically gray areas, donor favoritism appearances, misuse of office accusations, retaliation allegations, and constant scandal-heavy environments. Most senators and congresspeople should stay away from those things, not orbit them constantly like Ken Paxton does and the president does. And this is where I stand. We notice something right here. This is not an isolated thing. This feels like a pattern with this president, because Trump repeatedly surrounds himself with people who appear to be morally flexible. And if you don't understand what I mean by morally flexible, criminally minded would be an even better word. Or who doesn't mind breaking the rules regardless of what party they work for. Okay? Morally flexible people are easily used politically. People with strong ethical guardrails are harder to control, harder to blackmail, manipulate. Most of the people that this president hires are morally they're morally flexible. Morally flexible. Okay? These people are morally flexible. Just take, for example, the cabinet that this president has. We don't need to go no further. Just look at the cabinet that this president had. Kash Patel is a drunk, according to news reports. Hegseth is a drunk, according to news reports. Cheats on his wife, according to news reports. Scandal-ridden, period. Christie Knowles didn't mind stealing from American taxpayers $200 million. Didn't mind sleeping with Corey Lewandowski, allegedly. Cheating on her husband, allegedly. No, I'm not spreading propaganda. You know and I know. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I just named 3 of the cabinet members who are ethically challenged in some way. Stop it. Everybody knows they're ethically and morally challenged. Stop it. You can't gaslight me over here. Please. Kash Patel, drunk. Hegseth, drunk. All of these reports, drunk. Knows $200 million. Pam Bondi, she doesn't know how to do her job because she tried to be loyal to Trump, and she was supposed to be loyal to the Constitution. All of these people in the cabinet ethically challenged. So I'm not surprised that he went and endorsed Ken Paxton, because Ken Paxton is also morally and ethically challenged. Okay, people with strong ethical guardrails are harder to control, and the president has fired all of those people that are harder to control. Look what happened with James Comey. When James Comey said, I'm not going to do what this person wants me to do, James Comey got fired. The head of the Fed, I forgot his name, the head of the Fed, it slips my mind. The head of the Fed, he wanted to fire him because he wouldn't change the he wouldn't change the interest rates. He was doing his job. He was not going to steer from doing his job just because President Trump wanted him to be loyal. This is why this president doesn't mind hiring ethically challenged people. And MAGA love these kind of people because they're morally and ethically challenged in some particular form or fashion. Okay? People with strong ethical guardrails are harder to control. They hesitate, they pull back, they refuse, they resign, they become whistleblowers. What's her name? Tulsi Gabbard, the guy who worked with Tulsi Gabbard, Kent. No, we're not doing that. Those generals in the army, military. No, we're not doing that. We're not blowing up boats from Venezuela. Ethically challenged people work for this president. And this president loves ethically challenged people. See, that's the problem with people that still got strong See, the problem with people who still got strong morals and a conscience, they stop and think. They say, hold the hell on, this might be wrong. But permanent political warfare doesn't reward people like that. Okay? But it rewards obedience. The president likes people who are obedient, regardless of their character. He rewards aggression, commitment, willingness to rationalize almost anything for victory. You got goofy people now saying that the president didn't mean to post that picture about Obama. You got goofy people saying that shit now. Any human being with any kind of morality to them would have saw immediately what was wrong with that damn picture that this president posted. When this president said that Rob Reiner deserved to get killed, immediately we should have known. You should known that he was morally challenged. Okay? That's wild to me. And before people twist my words, I'm not saying every person around Trump is a criminal. Every MAGA person is a criminal. I'm saying even the morally challenged people can recognize you morally challenged people who support Trump. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying there appears to be a pattern where ethically controversial people are not viewed as liabilities in this Trump administration. They seem to be praised and elevated when they have moral issues. They almost seem like they're preferred, okay? Like they're preferred morally challenged. Because people already carrying controversy often have weaker independence politically. They need protection. So they need survival. They need movement. That makes them more compliant to this president, more reliable, more willing to bend the rules. And that should deeply concern people regardless of their party. Because public trust is about more than criminal convictions. It's about judgment, restraint, integrity, discipline, moral instinct. The Senate and the presidency are not supposed to be places where we lower our standards. Well, technically, nothing has been proven. He been accused of cheating, but it may not be true. He been accused of a whistleblower firing, but maybe it ain't true. When you have 3, 4, 5, I can understand. I can even get behind you if somebody said 1 or 2 things about you And you've been like, wait a minute, I ain't going for it. It was just one accusation. I ain't going for the rest. But when somebody accuses you of 3, 4, 5 different things morally, there's smoke where there's fire. Okay? There's smoke where there's fire. Okay? Well, technically, when we can't prove nothing like that, no. There's an issue with the people that the president puts in charge of the American life or way of life. See, and that's why this country feels so tense right now. This is why we have a problem with the people in this country right now. Because deep down, people know something is changing, something is wrong, something is off about this administration, something is off about this leadership. People know that standards for our government are dropping. People know politics is becoming less about leadership and more about tribal warfare. And once a country reaches the point where people will excuse almost anything as long as their side wins, we're entering dangerous, very dangerous territory. Because eventually the question stops becoming, is this right? Is this fair? It starts to become, can our side get away with doing what we want to do? That's not healthy. That is not sustainable. And history shows that mindset eventually poisons institutions from the inside out. Because once winning becomes more important than morality, more important than the Constitution, more important than character, integrity starts looking inconvenient too. And conscience starts becoming a political liability instead of a strength. And that's the part that should scare people the most. This is wild to me. This is the price of loyalty. That is the most important reason why Donald Trump picked Ken Paxton. Because he lacks moral fortitude. And he's willing to do and say anything to win. And the moral and that lack of moral clarity, you're willing to say almost anything. Let's see what this person starts to do and say with Tallarico. The ground zero is Texas. We have a clear choice in Texas with the Republicans and the Democrats. Are you willing to deal with this Ken Paxton human being, this morally, ethically challenged human being, compared to Tallarico, God-loving, God-fearing, straight as an arrow human being? Or are you willing to deal with somebody like Paxton, who might be third from the seat of the presidency someday? You're willing to put that person in office, in a senator's position, when he's as morally challenged as he is, ethically challenged as he is. We already have an ethically challenged president. We already have a morally challenged president. Okay. We already have that. We don't need more people that go into Congress that are ethically and morally challenged. Look what happened with the cabinet that we have now, who are morally and ethically challenged. Because this cabinet is ethically and morally challenged, and it bears repeating. It bears repeating. That's the whole point, Grumpy. That's the whole point. The Republicans have never taken the Democrats anywhere. Nobody that is black or a minority should ever vote for a Republican, because you have no policies that help black people. Republicans have no policies that help black people, and Democrats are the only ones that have priorities that help black people. Good for you, Grumpy. Good for you. Good for you. So we have ethically challenged cabinet. So I'm not surprised that the president picked Ken Paxton. Patel, who's a drunk. Hegseth, who's a drunk. Bondi, who doesn't understand her job or loyalty. Knowles, who ethically challenged, stole money from the American people. The president, who stole money from the American people. The president, who has lined his pockets from day one. I'm not surprised that he would go over and he would endorse this person, Ken Paxton. This is why the Paxton endorsement matters the most. The price of loyalty. He's loyal to the president. Above anything else, he's loyal to the president. Morally and ethically challenged, MAGA doesn't care. MAGA just cares about whoever loves Donald Trump. Okay? Because this is what the politics has come on the right side of the aisle. This is what politics has become for the MAGA party, for the Republican Party. It doesn't matter about morals. It doesn't matter about ethics. It doesn't matter about any of those things. You can have scandals. You can cheat on your wife. You can beat your wife. You can do whatever. They don't care. Okay? They don't care. This is a system where loyalty matters more than ethics. This particular administration, loyalty matters more than ethics. Combat matters more than character. And scandal gets treated like background noise. And eventually, our country is going to pay the price for that. Our country has paid the price for that. For the past 2 years, our country has went so far in decline under this presidency. It's going to take years for us to recover. It's going to take years for us to recover. Okay? That's the whole point. It's going to take years for us to recover. Okay? That's you all got to learn to read. I swear y'all got to learn to read. Every Democrat has had to come in and straighten up what the Republicans messed up. Every Democrat has had to come in and straighten up what the Republicans messed up. Every Republican since I have been born has started wars, fucked over the economy, and gave tax cuts. Every Republican, that's all they do. Tax cuts, war, and fuck over the economy. That's it. That's all that they do. Go back and look. Donald Trump's first term, tax cuts, war, fuck up the economy. George Bush, tax cuts, war, fuck over the economy. The Democrats have always come in and straightened out the economy. Go back and look. Go back and read. If you went back and read, you'd understand. But hey, I can't make people read. I can't make you read. I can't make you smart. Okay? So, and let's be honest about what the price actually looks like, right? It's not abstract anymore. We're going to pay the price for the tax increase, the gas increase, the food increase, the economy crashing, us at war. That's crazy. All of that's crazy. Please don't argue with me. Go back and read. I can't help it. You can't read. I can't. What's the literacy rate in the country? Half of y'all can't read. So I understand why you don't understand. I understand why you don't understand. So this is not abstract anymore. It's already happening. Our whole economy is going to shit. It looks like public trust is collapsing under average citizens. We're assuming everybody in government is corrupt. It looks like institutions are losing legitimacy. It looks like laws are being viewed entirely through Republican or Democratic lens instead of objective lenses. It looks like government is trapped in permanent political warfare. instead of objective standards, actual governance. It's crazy. Because once political tribes stop caring whether leaders are ethically trustworthy, power stops fearing accountability. There's no guardrails for this president. This president has always been ethically and morally challenged. People like me, I'm a part of the 92% that voted against this president because we could see his ethically challenged and morally challenged persona from day one. And we have been proven right from day one. We have been proven right from day one. The president has, with his morally and ethically challenged self, has dragged us into war, has dragged our economy down for shit, who has raised our gas prices, who has made sure that our food prices got raised, has made sure he rolled back any kind of trust the public had in news. All of these things this president has brought about. Corruption, and he's lined his pockets full of money, taxpayer money, all of those things. Because if you didn't see that he was corrupt before, you should have seen it when he tried to steal $10 billion from the American taxpayer. $10 billion this president tried to steal from the American taxpayer. That's when we knew he was corrupt. So it is what it is. He's a corrupt person. Any person that he hires is going to be loyal to him, which means the person is probably corrupt. Our cabinets are corrupt, but it is what it is. So Ken Paxton getting hired by this president is not a surprise. It's not a surprise. Okay. When power stops fearing accountability, history shows corruption eventually stops hiding. Corruption has stopped hiding with this president. This president has stopped hiding his corruption. That's why most Republicans have jumped off his ship, because they see the corruption. They see that this person is ethically and morally challenged, and they have always been ethically and morally challenged. That's why he has been losing support, because we see him now. A lot of people see him for what he is. He has stopped hiding his corruption. Okay? He's never going to serve time, sir. He's never going to serve time. This president is never going to go to jail. But the people that he has worked, that has had him work for him, those people will be subject to jail. And see, the most dangerous part about this here is how normal we have people in the chat defending this person. His true colors are showing. Yes, he's not trying to hide his degeneracy. He's not trying to hide his degeneracy now. What president do you know would hire a person with this kind of scandal behind them and think it's okay to endorse him above an upstanding person like Cornyn? I'm not a fan of Cornyn's in Texas, but he seems to be an upstanding Republican guy. And I can look at him and say, at least he's upstanding. Why would you choose Ken Paxton, who is scandal-ridden, over an upstanding Republican like Cornyn? Because you're already a scandal-ridden human being. You're morally, ethical, and challenged. Yes, scumbag recognizes scumbag. That's the whole thing. Scumbag recognizes scumbag. And MAGA seems to think this is normal. The scandal, the chaos, the controversy, the lowering of the standards, we're adapting to that. And once a society convinces itself that character no longer matters, eventually power stops pretending morality matters at all. Just like this president. He stopped pretending that morality means anything. It doesn't mean anything. because MAGA going to love him anyway. They're going to love his moral degeneracy. They love his moral degeneracy, and anybody else that has moral degeneracy. You see how the hypocrisy is crazy? They call themselves the party of law and order, and everything they do is against the law and order and against the Constitution. Everything they endorse is against the Constitution and the law. And no morality is ever going to save these people. Okay? The price of loyalty is not just corruption. It's the gradual death of standards themselves. And America is already starting to pay for it. We're starting to pay for it. We're starting to see the bad parts of being loyal to this person. A lot of Republicans are starting to see what loyalty has gotten them behind this president. We can't afford to have any more corrupt human beings in the Senate or in the Congress House. We can't afford to have another corrupt human being. And this person is how does a person that's a president in all good conscience call himself caring about the United States? And he puts this person in charge of the people of Texas. How do you say you care about the United States? You care about the Constitution. You care about what the people want and how the people are represented. And you endorse a person like Ken Paxton. How do you call yourself caring about the United States? How do you care about people in Texas when you endorsed this person? That's the way I look at it. This is a scandal. If I don't even rock with John Cornyn. I don't even rock with Cornyn. But if I had the choice between Cornyn and Ken Paxton, it damn sure wouldn't have been Paxton. It damn sure, if I had to pick a Republican, it would have been John Cornyn. That's for sure. What does it say to you that this president picked the most scandal-ridden, unfaithful, morally challenged, law-breaking human being over a morally upstanding person like John Cornyn? What does that say to y'all? He picked him because he's easy to say, hey Ken, why don't you go out there and say Tallarico? Hey Taylor, go out there and say something crazy about Tallarico. Do what it takes to win. This is why President Trump picked him, because he's willing to do anything. That's not what we need in this country. We need people that are going to stand up for the middle class, for the regular, ordinary people. And this person seems to be one of those people that are going to try to get in the room with the rich people and then screw us regular, ordinary people over. Okay? That's what it seems like with this Paxton person. I hope that you people in Texas make the right decision. And I get it. You may not like Tallarico, but if you don't like Tallarico and you look at Ken Paxton, just don't vote. If you can't stomach voting for Tallarico, just don't vote. And I hate to say that to people. But there ain't no way. Listen to what I'm saying to y'all. If Ken Paxton gets into the Senate, he can be the next speaker the way the MAGA people are such a zombie-like cult for Donald Trump, that he could be the next speaker, the third person next to the presidency. If the president says make him the House Speaker, That person could be the third person next to the presidency. This is what we're facing here with this person. And that's a scary prospect, specifically when we already have a president who is morally and ethically challenged. We don't need a cohort in the Senate that's willing to do everything this president is not willing to. That will go even further. Because this person is willing to go even further. Okay? But they feel like they got to follow the president. Hopefully, a lot of people wake up and understand we are in perilous times with this president's leadership. We are in perilous times. Hopefully, you guys have hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys showing up. Please show up again. I have shows Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. Usually it's about a subject in the political arena. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys. And I will see you tomorrow with another subject. Please, Texans, please think about what we're going to be doing. Please think about what can happen. Please think about that. And I will see you tomorrow in the next video. I appreciate you guys. And this is Petty Politic. I appreciate you guys.